Have you ever noticed how your hand reaches for your phone before you even decide to pick it up? This is not a warning. This is not a notification. It's a gesture the body learned on its own. A small check repeated 100 times a day, asking, has it arrived yet? Has it changed? Is it now? And every time the answer is the same, not yet. This not yet has a specific sound. It resides in the chest, a little below the throat, and if you pay attention, you'll realize he's been playing for years. Short, steady, like a radio left on in another room, whose music no one chose, but which has become part of the silence of the house. You call that hope, ambition, working on yourself. But there's a more honest name for that sound: absence. An entire life built around a when. When I achieve that, when this phase passes, when I'm finally ready, healed, different, light, when no one taught you that this word has a price, that every time you pronounce it, a part of you is displaced from the only place where life truly happens. There is a specific type of tiredness that doesn't come from what you do. It comes from what you're always trying to achieve. You wake up, and before the coffee even gets cold, you're already calculating distances. How much is left? What still needs to be resolved so that you can finally rest within yourself? You read, you research, you jot down phrases in notebooks that you promise to reread. You try out new routines, like someone trying on clothes that never fit the way they do in the shop window. You constantly observe yourself, almost like a work in progress, an apartment that's never finished because the floor plan changes every week. And beneath all of this, a question you never said aloud, but never stopped asking: why hasn't it arrived yet? You tried so many ways. You changed your routine. You changed your inner dialogue. You tried visualizing. You tried letting go. You tried trusting the process. And yet, something inside you keeps running, chasing after a version of yourself that always seems to be one step ahead, around a corner you never turn in time. This exhaustion is not a sign of weakness. It is the sound of a consciousness trying to reach something that it itself pushed away. There's a specific way of looking at the clock that only those chasing a when know. It's not curiosity, it's demanding payment, a check that asks, without words, if time has brought any proof, if something has finally moved. And when nothing seems to have changed, there's a small, almost imperceptible, internal collapse, a disappointment that you no longer even register as disappointment because it's become routine. You learned to live within this waiting period as one learns to live with background noise. It's not annoying enough to warrant a resolution, but it never stops ringing. Here's what nobody told you about the effort. The more you strive to reach a new moment, the more you silently confirm that you are not there yet. All effort stems from a perceived distance. You're only chasing after something that, deep down, you've already decided isn't yours yet. And it is precisely this decision, not the desire, not the dream, that keeps the distance alive. Think of the word search. It already contains absence within itself. No one seeks what they already have in their hands. So, every time you force yourself to manifest, to attract, to reach a better when, you are, without realizing it, reaffirming a now of lack. The energy you use to try to change your reality is the same energy that repeatedly confirms that change has not yet occurred. Desire is not the problem. It's the belief hidden behind it. The idea that you need to distance yourself from yourself in order to become who you want to be. Notice the difference between willpower and vigilance. Willpower is light. It points. Surveillance. It's heavy. She checks, measures, charges. She constantly asks if it's enough yet. You might even be saying the right words. I deserve it. This is already mine. But if behind those words lies an anxious vigil, counting days, reviewing signs, testing whether it worked, the real message your consciousness receives is not the words themselves. It's the vigil, and consciousness always responds to the true message. There's a scene that repeats itself, with slight variations, in the lives of almost everyone who is trying to change. The person reads something that touches them deeply. For a moment, they feel a genuine openness, and the next minute, she's already researching how to sustain that feeling, how to repeat it tomorrow, how to turn it into a method. It's like holding water with both hands cupped together. The tighter you clench your fingers, trying not to lose anything, the faster it slips through them. Effort, in this sense, is not the opposite of rest. It's a disguised form of distrust. Part of you doubts that change can be real without you yourself producing it by force, with your own hands. And it is precisely this doubt, not the desire to change, that consciousness registers and returns as reality. You could call it an obsession with progress. It's about needing to feel like you're doing something at every moment, because stopping feels dangerous. It feels like giving up. But there is a difference between stopping trying and giving up. Giving up is abandoning the desire. Stopping the attempt is only abandoning the distance you had placed between yourself and it. What follows is no longer a correction. It's an invitation to see it from a different angle. The idea that the future is a place, a destination, a distant city you are traveling to is perhaps the deepest illusion the human mind has learned to believe. The future doesn't exist as a territory waiting for you. The future is a continuation. A continuation of what? From the identity you inhabit right now, from the way you see yourself, feel, and relate to yourself at this exact moment, sitting where you are, breathing the way you are breathing. If identity precedes reality, and reality precedes it, then there is no further ahead separate from you. There is only the here, extending, repeating, deepening in the direction of who you already are. You're not walking towards the future. You're walking within yourself and calling it time. That's why so many people change cities, jobs, relationships, their entire routines. And yet, on the other side, you find the same feeling, the same emptiness with new clothes, because the scenario has changed, but the awareness that observed the previous scenario has remained the same. It's not the world that needs to reorganize itself first. He is the observer. Think about how you've already experienced this on a small scale, without realizing it. One day, you woke up in a good mood for no apparent reason and noticed how the people on the street seemed kinder. The traffic, which on other days seemed like a personal assault, has become just traffic. Nobody changed. The streets remained the same. The traffic lights, the schedules, What changed was the point from which you were observing. This is neither a coincidence nor a fluke. This is a miniature example of something much bigger. Reality is not an objective report that is presented to you. She is a translation, and what translates is the identity through which you are looking. Change the identity, and the translation changes with it, not because the facts have changed, but because the meaning you extract from them comes from somewhere else. This means that you have already experienced, in small doses, what is being described here. You just never recognized it as a principle. You treated it as an exception, as luck, as one good day among many others. But it was not an exception. It was a glimpse into how reality has always worked. Beneath all the stories you've learned to tell about it, consciousness is not waiting for the future to express itself. She is expressing herself now, all the time, through everything you call life. Every repeated thought is an instruction. Every sustained feeling is an address. You're not waiting for reality. You are, at this very second, writing a draft of it in the handwriting of who you believe yourself to be. And here is the quietest part of this realization. You don't need to go anywhere to get started, because there is no start later. The only option is to continue being who you already are, but now with your eyes open to it. The person you imagine in the future, freer, more whole, more at peace, is not ahead of you on a timeline. It is available now as a frequency, as a possibility of identity that you can inhabit in this instant, without waiting for permission from any circumstance. You don't have to become that person. You need to stop insisting that she's not the one yet. What if, just for a moment, you stopped running? Not because he gave up, not because he got tired, but because he realized that there was, in fact, nowhere to run. Feel the relief in that, an almost physical relief, like when you release a weight you didn't even know you were carrying on your shoulders for so long that you confused it with your own body. You don't need to change who you are to deserve what you want. You don't need to prove, through effort, that you're ready. You don't need to monitor your life, waiting for signs that it finally worked. None of this was ever necessary. The only thing that has ever been asked of you, and it's not really a demand, it's more of an invitation, is that you now inhabit the identity of someone who is no longer expecting it. Not because you pretended, because you recognized it. There's a difference between pretending you've arrived and acknowledging that arrival was never a destination. Pretending is disguised effort. Acknowledging is rest. And rest changes everything, silently, without fanfare, without immediate proof, because proof was never the goal. The proof is merely an echo, arriving a little later, of an identity that has already taken root within. You might even feel the urge to check if it worked. That's normal. No one gives up a decades-old habit overnight. But notice the difference between looking back out of curiosity and looking back out of desperation. One is light. It passes and disappears. The other pulls you back into the same race as before, only with a prettier name. It might be hard to trust that now, because your whole life has taught you otherwise. It taught you that rest is a risk, that ceasing to monitor is giving up control, that if you're not constantly adjusting something, everything will fall apart. But look, honestly, at the moments when you tried the hardest to control things, Did they bring the peace they promised? Or just more tiredness, more checking, more distance between you and the present moment? You don't have to believe any of that right now. You just need to notice, without rushing, without demanding anything, that perhaps there is another way. One that doesn't ask you to become someone different, only to stop distancing yourself from who, beneath all the effort, you've always been. Perhaps this seems too simple to be true. A lifetime has taught you to distrust what is simple, to believe that healing needs to be complicated to be worth anything. But not everything that liberates needs to require effort. Some doors were just unlocked the whole time. Nobody told you to just push them open. Nothing here needs fixing. There is no error being corrected. There is no flaw being repaired. There is only a silent acknowledgement that the distance was never real. It was just a story, repeated for so long that it came to seem true. Perhaps you'll spend the rest of the day the same way you've spent the last few years. Perhaps the circumstances around you won't change in the next few hours, but something is already different, even if it doesn't have a name yet, because you're no longer chasing after a when. You are finally here, and here, it seems, has always been the only place worth arriving.